And we're live. Welcome everybody. Hold up. There we go. Welcome everybody to another episode of Tech Thursday. Tonight is the last night of... today is the last Thursday in the month of March. And as always, we have a giveaway. Matter of fact, we have a few giveaways tonight. And I hope you guys participated in the giveaways. If you didn't, please go ahead and do giveaway 1, which is liking our page. Giveaway 2 was answering some questions. Once you get 100% on the questions, you automatically enter to win. Before we get started, just want to wish everybody happy Easter. And like the post, we have a special guest with us, and we'll now bring her on. Hi, Chrissy, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I am pretty well. So, Chrissy, while I finish setting up some admin stuff, tell our audience about yourself.
My name is Christy Powell. I have a bachelor's and a master's in electrical engineering from Florida Institute of Technology. I started my career working at an investment bank on Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, and I spent 6 years working for the bank. And then I transitioned over to Google in New York City, where I was a senior technical solutions consultant. And recently, I've left Google, and I've now launched my own startup in the Bahamas.
That is a mouthful.
I don't think so.
Wow. Welcome on the show. All right, so you guys got that. Please share this video with your friends. Don't let them miss out on the conversation. As always, leave the comments in the comment section, and we'll be sure to answer them. All right, so Chrissy, let's bring up the comments. Okay, Bob. All right. So, Chrissy, that was a mouthful. Tell us about your startup there.
Startup. All right. So I found myself a couple months ago thinking more and more about the Bahamas. And as I traveled around the world, I constantly thought about, well, why don't we do things a little bit differently in the Bahamas? And what are some of the things that we can do at home? And the more I thought about it, the more passionate I became. And I became more excited about the things that I thought about after work than the things that those were the problems that were really keeping me up at night.
Right.
And because of that, I just figured I was doing myself really a disservice by not following my passion. Mm-hmm. And so for me right now, what my co-founder and I are trying to do is really just help companies in the Bahamas innovate, because everyone's thinking and talking more and more about technology, and it's like, well, the first question they always have is, how do we start? What do we do? Where do we find the people that we need to build our next generation platforms and our next generation applications? And my company is really geared towards helping that.
Okay. Whew. These are loaded responses and loaded questions. So, okay, so you have a wealth of knowledge in the field of IT. Certainly your education speaks to that. And your experience also speaks to that. And now you're looking now to come back here in the Bahamas and now build on those experiences and build on those and help build a nation called the Bahamas. You have a comment. Hey, Clarice. Thank you for joining in or listening in. Be sure to share the page and be sure to stay tuned to see who is our winner for tonight out of our second giveaways. So, for the layman man or the layman woman, what is technology? I mean, there's a whole hype now that has been buzzing around the Bahamas. Tech hub, tech-centric, tech city. The Bahamas should be technology savvy. What is this big hype, more or less?
That's a loaded question. So the hype I feel that's centered around technology in the Bahamas right now is because I think the sentiment out there is that the country is lagging behind other countries and other nations around the world. And we've been slow to adopt on some of the more progressive type ideas that exist out there in the world, especially as we travel. Like I mentioned, you know, we compare, well, why don't we do things like that in the Bahamas? For me, I think technology is more or less anything that we can do to innovate on what is already in place.
Right.
So if you look at a problem and you ask yourself why, it's kind of just like when you were a little kid, the things that make you go, in the, you know, at night.
Right.
And it's those problems that you really want to attack. And with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, I feel that through the vehicle of STEM, we can go ahead and solve some of those problems.
Okay. So, okay. So, I lost my train of thought just now. Sorry. All right. So, do you think the Bahamas is ready for this boom called technology and this next thing?
I think the Bahamas is absolutely ready for it. I don't think it's at fault that the technology itself does not exist, but I do think the challenge that most Bahamians are going to face is, or the Bahamas rather is going to face, is cultural differences. Because technology is a little bit more than just using WhatsApp. Technology is a little bit more than just using Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. But it's how do we train a nation to actually be innovators of technology rather than just users of technologies? How do we train our young people to start thinking creatively to go ahead and create new products and solve those difficult problems that exist? I also think that from just the conversations I've had with businesses and business owners in the Bahamas, like I mentioned, a part of the challenge is, well, where do we start? Where do we begin? Where do we find the group of software developers in the Bahamas that can actually build next generation systems? And I think one of the things that this platform that you guys are doing right now at Saunders Consulting is really collating and creating an environment where technology, or technologists rather,
Right.
can come together in a communal sense to really say, hey, we're here, use us, as opposed to going abroad to
Right.
go ahead and find that talent.
Right. All right. Good night, Xander. Thanks for joining. Please be sure to go ahead and share this video. So that was just a comment. So I totally agree with you, Chrissy. And we started this show primarily to help Bahamians or to educate Bahamians on technology from a layman's term. And also to help entrepreneurs now to also now integrate technology inside of their business. Because another hype has been entrepreneurs in the Bahamas. And if you want to become an entrepreneur into this market, I believe that you have to integrate technology. If you're not integrating technology inside of your business as an entrepreneur, you should close your business.
So I think for most people, or for most entrepreneurs specifically, the reason technology plays a critical role in that is because honestly, if you look at marketing, it's a lot cheaper to market digitally than it is to market in traditional print or radio, right?
Right.
And that alone is a reason why entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs should start thinking about leveraging technology a little bit more.
Right.
The world today, most people communicate via email.
Right.
Again, platforms exist where you can get emails, a monthly email for about $5 a month. That's a cloud-based solution.
Yep.
Another reason why entrepreneurs should take advantage of technology in their businesses is because not that brick and mortar stores are going away, but the fact is you could, with a technology business specifically or any other kind of business, you can fully operate it online with the different platforms that are out there. Even if you're selling goods or if you're just selling a service, there's definitely some level of technology that you can take advantage of. to help catapult your business from where it is today to where it is that you'd like to be in the future.
Totally agree. We started the year off with giving some tech tips with entrepreneurs for the entire month of January, and telling them how they could go ahead and start with some free applications that's out there, and then build to where they want to, or scale, I should say, to where now they want to go. And so I totally agree. And I'm not a software developer. I'm more of an administrator, more of an infrastructure individual. But we all work hand in hand in the technology field. So I don't want you all to think that I build apps and this that next thing. No, that's not my forte. I hate programming.
I hated it too at some point in life.
Yeah.
But now I like it.
Yeah. Let's talk subnetting and all of that, and you get my attention with the networking aspect of things. All right, cool. So I mean, I think your name first came up last year during our first annual Tech Summit. So for our listening audience, give us a little insight of how that came about. Were you a part of that? Obviously, you're a part of that because you're one of the panelists. So, I mean, just let us know exactly how that all came about and this and next thing.
So I would be remiss if I did not say that it was my mother that ran into Senator Thompson outside the Hilton Hotel, is the reason why I actually ended up at the Tech Summit.
Okay.
So to borrow a quote from St. Anne's, where I graduated from, by the grace of God, I think is how that happened that evening.
Okay.
But, you know, once the introductions were met, I was able to connect the steering committee, you know, those who were responsible for the Tech Hub, with another colleague of mine, Zirks Bahari from Microsoft. And together, you know, Zirks has a background in electrical engineering as well. We went to the same university. And the other thing that Zirks and I had in common was the fact that he was from Trinidad. And so although he was not Bahamian, he shared a similar sentiment in that we're both very passionate for the Caribbean to move forward and to show that we do have the talent and the resources in place to really transform our respective countries. The Tech Summit, I think, was pivotal, and it came at the right time, right? Like, we had a group of people who were like-minded, all interested in technology, all interested in moving the country forward, and I was pleased to actually be a part of what I would consider to be the beginning of a revolution, especially a beginning of a change for Grand Bahama, and I think that's pertinent. So beyond the Tech Summit now, I serve on the Tech Steering Committee with Dr. Donovan Moxie as the chairman, and I'm the vice chairman. And we've put forth a plan, or a strategy rather, with the rest of the team, the committee, as to what we think the government should do next in terms of moving the country forward. I truly, truly believe in education. My parents obviously believed in education. And I think it's very important for us to continue to invest in our own. And I think that if we invest in our own, then we'll be in a very good spot to move the nation forward without having to rely or be held hostage to external vendors continuously building all of our platforms.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. King. Thanks for joining in. Please be sure to go ahead and share this video. Chrissy, I wanna take a little spin on things right now, and I want to do a first giveaway.
Okay.
All right. So for all those of you who are watching us, we're going to do a first giveaway, and our giveaway is a Easter basket. And I'm waiting for my producer to provide me with the names. All right. So while the producer is getting the Easter basket and the names prepared, why did you come back home?
Wow, another loaded question. Honestly, I wanted to make a difference, and it got to a point where I felt as if I couldn't make a difference while working a corporate job. Mm-hmm. And if I couldn't take myself seriously enough to wholeheartedly jump in, then why would somebody else take me seriously, essentially?
Sure.
And I truly, I grew up believing that you should always walk by faith and not by sight. And I would have never known if I could fly unless I jumped. And I decided to take a huge risk, and it was literally because I wanted to be that change. Like, I wanted to be a change agent. I wanted to drive forward the initiatives that I think all governments are trying to achieve. And I truly believe right now that a good path forward, or a good step forward for us, is to help people in positions who can make those decisions surround themselves with people who are actually in that field. And I don't think we have enough technologists in the Bahamas. And again, another point was I wanted to be a role model to those who are here. Had it not been for the mentors and the sponsors that I had in life growing up, I don't know where I would have ended up, and I wanted to essentially pay it forward.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, the producer still is not ready. So give us a few more minutes while the producer goes ahead. Madam Producer, do you mind bringing one of these baskets so persons can actually see? Okay.
All right.
And let's do this. Green now.
We're ready.
All right, so we're not playing. We told you all that we were going to give away an Easter basket, and this is primarily for a female. So get ready, and bring the bag, please. All right.
And the winner is Rakisha Thompson.
Yay! Hold on. Let's go back to one more time.
And the winner is Rakisha Thompson.
Yay, Rakisha! Congratulations, you won a Easter basket. I know you have a boy, so this one won't work. But nonetheless, we got you. We have a male Easter basket. So Rakisha, congratulations, and please contact us to collect your prize. All right, that's one giveaway. Stay tuned. We have two more giveaways. So if you guys pay attention, we have another Easter basket to give away, and we have 2 movie tickets to give away. So if you guys have not entered the questionnaire as yet, please feel free to go ahead and answer those, so you'll be entered to win the movie tickets. These movie tickets, I believe in showing and telling, because then some people will be like, oh, that's just an envelope. That ain't real, and this, that, next thing. So, Chrissy, do me honest, because I guess you can hold it up to the camera, so there you go. 2 movie tickets to Galleria Cinemas. we are not selling you guys a dream. So if you've answered the questionnaire, for the quiz, everything was the questions are all based on the month of March. Everything that we did for the month of March.
What were some of the questions?
As a matter of fact, excellent question. Let's pull it up. So I think one of the questions were who are our first guests on the show for the month of March. The second one was, another one would have been how many guests we've had on our show for the month of March. It's sort of easy, eh?
If you're a loyal follower.
Right. Which country in the world, or where in the world, where was the location in the world that our first guest appeared? Yeah. And that was almost like a giveaway because it was in the title.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what am I doing? It's Google Forms. Another one was, there we go. What was another one? Dusana's consultants provide live streaming services.
Okay, that was a giveaway.
That's it's pretty simple questions.
Okay.
Where can you find the tech tips after the show? Pretty straightforward. Again, where was our first guest located in the world during the show? That person was brought in via video conference.
Okay.
What all topics did we cover during the month of March? What level of live streaming Dusana's consultants use?
That's toughy.
Well, actually, that was last week's topic. We went through each one of the levels. There's only 4 levels of live streaming. And we broke down each level. And we wanted now, most persons say that they are on level 1, which isn't bad, because that means that you have an interest in live streaming. And I told them now that you're on level 1, you can now level up on level 1, and you don't really necessarily have to go to level 2.
Okay.
So if you're on level 1, there are some things now you can level up your stream to go ahead and go on level 1 or level 2. And then the final question was, we are the authorized dealers for which one of these major companies. So just a few basic questions. You'll be entered to win 2 adult tickets to Galleria Cinemas. Yeah. All right, so let's get back talking technology. I mean, we've been talking technology the whole night. With the various industries that we have here in the Bahamas, technology will play a pivotal role in assisting the way that they do business. I know a lot of financial institutions right now are going e-based, full e-based, right? And there has been a lot of uproar into this move by behemoths. For instance, Royal Bank said that, hey, we want to go ahead and do everything using the ATM machines, do all your deposits, do all your transfers, online banking, and this, that, and the next thing. There is no need now to have a teller per se to do transactions that could be done using the ATMs or using online banking. There has been an uproar in that, and I actually want to go ahead and get the banking industry on the show so we can all talk about it. Me being a tech person, I'm sure you being a tech person, it's a convenience for us.
Right.
But in general, it seems to be an inconvenience for others, right? But I think using this platform or different medias, we can now educate behemoths on why it is necessary or how efficient the process now becomes that you don't have to stand on a line 2 or 3 hours to do one transaction. You can now spend maybe 5-10 minutes do what you have to do, or even be in the comfort of your own home and now go ahead and conduct transactions, and you can now have the rest of your day to do other things. But I think it's a learning curve that we us as Bahamians now have to adapt and adjust and not be afraid of technology. And I think that right there is one of the major issues. You could chime in if you think.
So again, I think that's more cultural
Yep.
than anything else. I think that the bank's approach in the transition from, hey, come in the bank and do business, to no, don't come in the bank and do business, but use the ATM, may have been a challenge for a lot of Bahamians, in the sense that I still feel the country suffers from the digital divide, meaning that there are those, and the divide refers to those who have computers and those who do not. Mm-hmm. And essentially, if you don't have access to a computer and you don't know what these different tools are, then you're gonna be resistant towards someone telling you, hey, let's move down the direction of technology. And in that instance, maybe the banks took for granted that the divide was actually larger than they anticipated in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And for a lot of older people, in that demographic, it could have been seen as a social outing, like, hey, I'm going to the bank. And so now it's like you're taking that away from them as well. And so, again, you're met with resistance. The other thing that I think could have played a role as to why some Bahamians did not adopt the e-banking platform as quickly as they could have, could also be around the level of education in the country and understanding how to use technology to actually make my life easier and better.
Right.
And again, you were met with resistance. So for the banks personally, maybe the messaging in their marketing plan and communication should have been more, and even the rhetoric in the newspapers and in the media could have been more focused on the benefits of doing e-banking, as opposed to, well, you're taking away jobs because now tellers don't have, we don't need tellers anymore. You're charging me these erroneous fees. And I think the charging the erroneous fees is a situation of forcing people not to come into the bank, and they figured, well, and again, I'm extrapolating and hypothesizing, I don't work for a bank. But if you're telling me that it's going to cost me $20 to cash a check that's not issued from your bank, then chances are I'm not going to go in to cash that check.
Sure.
And again, I think that's more around the communication and the messaging strategy for them getting that information or disseminating that information to the public.
Sure.
But I do think one way to combat that going forward is to always think about your users and put your customers first.
Yep.
And then perhaps maybe there's an organization out there in the Bahamas already that can give technology type services to those who aren't comfortable using it, right? Because now that we're thinking about the ease of doing business and submitting your business license online, and now there's this whole e-banking platform that I have to become accustomed to, and who knows the next industry that would, that any government or private entity will try to revolutionize by using technology. You're going to be met with resistance, but I think the key thing is to take your customers on that journey with you, as opposed to leaving them behind by saying, well, if you don't get on board, then, oh, well, so be it.
Right. And so I think that was a question that came in, how do we gap that divide, or I should say bridge that divide, I'm guessing. And so you just answered that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead, leave them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as they come along.
I do have one other comment, though, on
Sure.
the question of how do we bridge, essentially, the digital divide, right?
Sure.
And lots of people have access to, not very many people have access to computers in their homes, but most of the schools now have access to computer systems or computer labs. And if you think about it, between the period after school, let's say between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m., they're not used.
Correct.
And so one way to potentially shrink that divide could be for the school systems to run some sort of adult education programs, or even just layman technology type programs after school hours to get the country moving in the right direction, if there's data to support the fact that really this divide exists.
Yeah, so we have another question coming in. It says, educate persons. It costs more to get into the bank. It costs more to go into a bank to get your own money than to go to the ATM.
That could be true. Again, disclaimer, I do not work for a bank.
Right.
But if you realize that the cost of going into the bank is going to incur you more, then yes, the likelihood of you going to the ATM or ABM machine will serve you better. However, if you are not familiar with an ABM machine, if you do not know that you could deposit cash into your account, if you do not know that you can do withdrawals, if you do not know that you could do a deposit with a check, then...
Or even transfers.
Exactly. Then the chances of you doing that, you want that physical connection, and let's be real, right? Like, doing business with a person is much better and a completely different feel than calling on the phone and having to press 0 and then or 1 or 2 for canned automated responses. Again, I don't always feel like, yes, the answer is education, but it's also cultural.
Yeah.
And it's not that the technology does not exist. It is, how do we get people comfortable with using that technology? How do we incentivize them to do it? How do we bridge that divide?
So, I mean, and I'm speaking for myself, right? When I look at the banking platform in other countries, you want to deposit a check, you could take a picture of the check on your phone, and then it's now deposited to your bank account. I want the Bahamas to get there.
So I'll park that example, and I'll say that the Bahamas will get there.
Yes.
But every platform that you say, I want the Bahamas to have,
yes,
we have to remember and be cognizant of the fact that that platform did not start there.
Sure.
And what most people don't see is the evolution of a platform, and they see the end result when it finally makes its way to like mainstream.
Sure.
So yes, it's great. I would like to deposit my check by using my camera on my iPhone and it ending up in my wallet.
Why does it have to be an iPhone? Why can't it be an Android?
No, that's a debate on itself. But bottom line is, I think we do have to start small and iterate over and over and over to get to a platform that we feel is sustainable for where the Bahamas is. And again, yes, are most people still being paid with checks? That's the other question.
Yes.
Maybe the banks don't feel as if that's a worthwhile investment in their platform because not many of their users are doing it.
Sure.
So there's always going to be this trade-off, and yes, you and I are sitting here and we may consider ourselves to be tech-savvy, but if the bank does a statistical analysis and they find out that the majority of their check cashers are between the ages of 50 and 65 and they're not doing online banking, then they won't build it into their platform because it's a waste of money for them.
But they are forcing users to use the online platform or the e-banking platform now. And that's one of the reasons why it costs so much to go inside of a bank to do a transaction than to just use an ATM machine, because they're now trying to discourage that. All right?
So I think the word that you used is forcing. And I think that's the challenge.
Yes.
In that was the message that the Bahamians heard.
Right.
Again, I think that's a communication strategy
Yep.
that the bank may have not done that.
Pretty well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not done that good of a job on. But I do think that focusing more on like maybe there needs to be a campaign right now that focuses more on the benefits of doing e-banking.
Sure.
And how do we get everyone to use the e-banking platform.
Sure.
And then maybe the e-banking platform is just crappy and they need to redo it. And that could also be a reason why people aren't adopting it, right?
Sure.
But again, that only comes with time and by that business or that entity collecting enough user information.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a question in the comment. Do you think Bahamians are just afraid of technology?
I don't think Bahamians are afraid of technology. I've walked into many restaurants and I've given someone my order and they're sitting there texting at the same time while they're putting in my order on the screen, and so clearly they can use it. I think the challenge is when you start to force Bahamians to think outside of the box or force Bahamians to think creatively, then it becomes a challenge because they want to use what's already there. They want to recreate what already exists rather than focusing on the problems that are actually here and trying to solve those. And that's where innovation really comes from.
So I was waiting for this question on this comment. Job losses is an unfortunate impact due to technology upgrades. Yet the convenience is unsurpassed, right? So
I don't think jobs are lost because of technology.
Correct.
Jobs are lost because people do not reinvent themselves.
Right.
Learning is a continual process, and it is key that you as an individual in your organization continue to make sure that you stay relevant.
Sure.
It is your organization's duty to make sure that you stay relevant.
Sure.
Organizations invest in their people, and their people will ultimately reinvest in that organization. Technology comes, yes. You need to now pivot and think about how you can now reinvent yourself to stay relevant. Your unemployment is not as a result of technology. Your unemployment is as a result of you not reinventing yourself and failing to continue to learn.
Sure, because, but, all right, let's look at an average business, right? A lot of persons have staff, right? And they now want to automate a lot of stuff using technology. And we have another question in the chat, but I want to build on this, right? And the individual or the employee now sees exactly the trend and say, oh, I'm about to lose my job and this, that, and the next thing. But if that individual is smart enough to say, hey, my manager or whoever looking to integrate this technology or to automate this process, let me go learn how this operates. Because now another industry is now being created or another field is now being created in terms of maintenance. How do we now maintain this system? Because there's a design stage, implementation stage, and then there's support, right? And so all of those fields now have been created or now create or presents itself now for an opportunity for a job to be created. And if you are that interested in remaining at a particular institution, then learn the product or learn the platform that's now being rolled out. And it will now help the business owner now to say, boy, this is a valuable person. They're looking out for not only their best interests at heart, but then the company's best interests at heart as well, because now they went ahead and now to go ahead and do further learning. So I 100% support that. The next question, you speak of platforms. Where do you think the Bahamas is on technology platforms?
So when I speak of platforms, I'm not specific to an industry, but I do think that there are many industries that can use a redesign in platforms. I think when people think about technology, their first inclination is to think about product, but I feel as if you should always think about platform meaning that you should always think about how can you take an idea and scale it.
Right.
I think that the Bahamas is in a very unique position with us being an archipelago. So for example, how do we connect all of our islands to one NEMA system so that everybody knows that a hurricane is coming or something's about to happen without finding that news out on Facebook or without having to go to Facebook to validate that news.
Sure.
And so that is a platform that I think could be put in place. How do I get information back to whoever's responsible for the road that there's a pothole on Prince Charles Drive at this Latin long, coordinate that needs to be filled and it's been there for a week? Again, that's another platform that can be used. How do and like the list goes on, but it starts with the what, why, when, where, how,
Right.
and just asking yourself those questions.
Sure. So Raymond King says great responses to the question. And Edney Russell says, Bahamians are afraid of change, be it good or bad. Change is a must. Technology controls the world.
I think the financial system controls the world. But yes, I agree with you. Technology is right up there. I do think people are afraid of change. And again, I think it goes back to you have to take your users, your customers, your citizens on that journey with you and not forcing their hand, essentially. Like you have to say, come with me on this ride and I will show you, right? As opposed to saying, I'm going to beat you over the head, let's go. And I think that's a part of the reason why people you feel resistance.
Yeah. For those of you that's joining us, we have a guest with us, a technology expert.
Who's that?
Ms. Christy Powell. She is our guest for tonight, and we're discussing technology and the Bahamas. So thanks for joining us tonight. Feel free to go ahead and leave or post your questions in the comment section, and we'll be sure to answer them live and direct. So great questions, guys. I hope you guys are learning a lot from this discussion. I'm sure it won't be the last time we have this discussion, Christy, or you come on the show and grace us with your presence. Edney Russell says thanks. Great. So you spoke about a few different things, right? A few different problems that are more common in the Bahamas, such as potholes, and how to now help the relevant authority now go ahead and identify or be able now to quickly identify there is an issue in a particular area. Right? I think now we now have to identify or further the conversation to create a platform to now be able now to have these transparent and these ease of use of having communications disseminated to the relevant authorities. What are they doing? Tongue twisters tonight. All right, so we have another question. Big just about every Bahamian has a cell phone. Send out the mass alerts on them. Every payment will be notified. What? Every Bahamian will be within 1 feet
To hear the message.
to hear the message. So I think they have been testing it out this week or last week. I think with Nemo, when they sent out some text alerts, they're saying that there was a test in the event that there's a tsunami or something hitting.
Right.
Hitting. And I think last year, I think they also set up that platform to let persons know what was happening with the hurricane using telecommunications companies to disseminate that information, right? But so I think the governments are realizing that information now needs to go in a timely manner. Nobody is basically listening to 1540 AM. I'm not hitting 1540, but nobody is really listening to that 24/7. We carry on our daily lives and our daily operations on a daily basis, and 9 out of 10 times an individual has their cell phone with them. And so you have to be able now to go ahead and reach your audience or your target market where they live. If you don't do that, then you'll be sending out messages and nobody hears about it. So I think it's time to do a second giveaway. What do you think, Chrissy?
I think so.
So we're doing a second giveaway. And the second giveaway are...
Tickets or the basket?
The tickets. Let's do the tickets. Let's show our audience once again. Yep. We have the tickets. And our winner... Let's see who got all of our questions right. Who's been following 6 responses? What? Only six people responded? And only one person got it right. So do you want say the name?
The name? Clarice Campbell.
Yay! Clarice Campbell, you just won yourself two adult tickets to Galleria, and you could select any movie of your choice. So Clarice Campbell, are you with us? Are you in the chat? Let us know if you're in the chat. So yeah, Clarice won tickets. Matter of fact, last month Clarice won the gift certificates to 700 Wines and Spirit.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and Clarice has been following us, apparently, and she knows she's getting all the answers correct to all of the questions that we're posing.
This is when you say thank you to your loyal fans.
So thank you guys for thank you for that. Thank you guys for following us. Continue to follow us. Continue to be educated. If you can't catch us live, be sure to watch the re-show and be able now to also put in your comments in the comment section, and we'll be sure to go ahead and answer them. So we have another question. Let's come away from that. Is there adequate infrastructure locally to help improve our technology department?
So that was a question that was actually posed to the Technology Steering Committee on the heels of the Grand Bahama Tech Summit. Mm-hmm. And the information that we received as a committee is that the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
There is adequate infrastructure to improve the use of technology, or to support the use of technology and the advent of new systems in the Bahamas. So there's, again, like I said, it's not for a lack of technology, and it's certainly not for a lack of the infrastructure.
Sure.
I think that most of the things that we think about when we think about technology, Twitter, Facebook, etc., you would have recognized or noticed that a lot of them require data. The response from both BTC and Alive has been, let's give people more and more data. So I feel as if the networking infrastructure is in place to support that. I think what's missing right now is innovation.
Yep. So I want to put this plug in right there, right? And this is a personal plug, right?
Do you have shares in BTC or Alive?
No, no. But fiber to the home is something that is needed, right?
BTC does that, no, with Flow?
So.
Oh, okay.
So.
Let's mark that. Keep moving on.
No. So they've rolled out the fiber to the home, and I think Cable Bahamas has also rolled that project out as well, right? But I'm not sure exactly how far along the lines that rollout has been. But the Bahamas has had fiber infrastructure in the Bahamas since King Hammer was a hatchet, right? But what I don't want the telecommunication companies to do is to give me the same 20 megs that I'm receiving over copper and push it over fiber. I don't want that. I want you now to go ahead and blow my mind. Give me 50 megs at the same price.
Right.
You know, because now with fiber to the home, you could do so much. You could now safely convert your home to a smart home. I don't have to worry about, do I have sufficient bandwidth, or do I is there going to be a drop in communication when I'm trying to open up my garage door, or etc., right? Mm-hmm. So whichever company brings fiber to my home, you all you'll get all of my business. All. That's phone, that's TV, that's internet. What else?
Cable.
On TV, eh?
Oh, yeah.
TV, yeah. So you get all of my business. That's automatic. Whoever brings fiber to my home, either BTC or Bahamas, you get my all of my services, all ALLL, and I want SIP. Don't I tell you now? I want SIP. I want my telephone number over SIP. Anyway, that's another topic. But these technologies exist here inside the Bahamas, right? I don't want y'all to think that what I'm discussing it doesn't exist. These do exist. Is there a Ministry of Technology? Do we need one? My answer to that would be yes. I don't know how you feel about that.
We do not actually have a Ministry of Technology.
No, well, we don't.
Science, the education.
But we do need one.
Yes, we do need one.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So you answered the latter part of the question.
Sorry.
Yes, I do think we need one. I firmly do believe we need to have a governing body for all of the ministries, essentially, in the Bahamas. And I think that the first step would be thinking about citizens and how to improve their lives.
Sure.
And how to make it easier for them to just conduct day-to-day business. And I think that could fall perfectly under a separate entity.
Sure. And I concur. I think when Ty came on the show, the guy from Freeport, when I brought him on the show, that was one of the questions that I asked, and both of us agree that there should be a Minister of Technology. So whoever will be the next government of the Bahamas in the next 4 years, make sure that you have a minister responsible for technology, not a minister slash, no slash, primarily technology. And I guarantee you, you will win the next general election, whoever it may be. I guarantee you, because it's needed. We have another, oops. All right, 1 minute, folks. It seems to overlay it. Where are you? Sorry about that, Chrissy. All right. So we have one more Easter basket. What do you think we should do to go ahead and give that away?
They're shaking in the bag.
So should we use the same giveaway for the giveaway one?
What do you mean if we should use the same giveaway?
Yeah.
Pick a different name.
So that's what we want to do?
Yeah.
All right. So
name. Hopefully this person has a girl.
Hopefully, yeah. So, producer, can you bring the mail basket for us? I just want to show the audience, let them know that we're not kidding when we say that we have 2 baskets that we're giving away. We showed the female basket. Thank you. This is the, oops, it's green, sorry. This is the male basket, but this is going to Rikisha because I know Rikisha has a male son. So, righty then. We're now doing another raffle, another shake up. And the winner is... Chrissy, do the honors.
Kaylisha Humes? Kaylisha Humes.
Yay! Congratulations. I hope you have a daughter or a niece or somebody that you'll be able to give this to. Congratulations once again. So, Chrissy, we're out of time, but we're not out of... Questions. I mean, not out of ideas and answers, right? What will be your final thoughts?
Final thoughts would be if you are a budding or an aspiring entrepreneur, there's this insatiable need or appetite right now to think that you need an app or think that technology is only your website. I would encourage you to start small, build a minimum viable product that you could use to test the market, and there are different ways of doing that, and then decide if you want to create an app or make a significant investment in whatever your business idea is, and then from there go ahead and build. And then the second thing I would say for those who are not interested in entrepreneurship but who are just generally interested in technology and moving the path forward, I would say continue to read. Continue to see what the rest of the world is doing and continue to ask yourself why. And I think as you continue to ask yourself why, you'll continue to find more problems that we need to solve and impress upon your members of parliament and other government officials that these are the challenges that you face as a citizen and these are the things that you want to see changed.
Sure. I totally agree with you. If you guys have any further questions, any further comments, feel free to let us know. You can contact us at 357-9096 or 803-8940, or send us an email at info@sonicconsultantslimited.com. Limited is spelled ltd.com. Or send us a Facebook message. Let us know if you have any IT concerns, if you want to help integrate technology inside of your business. Let us know. We are standing by to answer your questions and to also assist. And we want to do a special, no, Madam Producer, bring that please. Okay, sorry. So, I am your host, Akeem Sanders. You've been watching Tech Thursday with our special guest, Chrissy Powell, and we've been talking technology and the Bahamas. We hope to see you guys next week, same time, same place, and we look forward, and we hope you guys have a safe and productive Easter holidays. Good night. See you guys next week. Bye, y'all.